Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hopefully, this video finds you well and doing something that brings you joy, something that will bring good memories in the long term, let's say, because we are in this situation where we are self quarantining now, and it's about 3 months that happened, and 3 months is a quarter of a year. It's just crazy to think about it. Time goes so fast, and I come to this realization more often as years go by, that the years just fly by. The time just goes like it feels like sand that runs through my fingers. It feels weird. And the reason that I started to talk about time and how fast it passes is that this week I came across my university diploma, and I realized that that diploma was issued to me in 2010 June, and now we are in 2020 June, and it's 10 years since I graduated university. And that just is so mind-blowing. Honestly, when I look back at this 10 years, so many things happened, so many changes. I learned so much technically, I learned so much as a person, so many great things happened, and I'm super pumped about that. But at the same time, 10 years, it's a lot. But before I get too philosophical and all that stuff, I want to talk about what did I study, what kind of classes did I had during my university time, and at the end I'll also mention a few differences that I had in Eastern Europe when I was studying for computer science. Without further ado, let's get started. So, the university that I attended, and practically all the universities that I'm aware of in Eastern Europe, they are basically somewhere between 3 and 4 years that you have to go for a computer scientist. So I did exactly the same. I had 3 years of study, and each academic year was divided into 2 semesters, and every semester would end with an exam. So because this happened so many years ago, and unfortunately I have no transcript or anything like that, I'll try to remember my best what courses did I take and what kind of were they, and I will try to go through them as fast as possible. So I wrote them down here so I don't forget them, based when they actually happened. So the first year I had computer architecture and assembly languages, and I remember practically all our classes were divided into lectures and also into lab. So basically the computer architecture and assembler language will have lectures maybe twice or 3 times a week, and then we'll have probably practice or lab twice or 3 times a week as well. So practically all of these classes were like that. We'll have a lecture class and we'll have a lab class. Most of the time the lectures and lab classes were led by the same professor. Sometimes it was not. So computer architecture and assembler languages, if I recall that correctly, that was assembler, which was kind of insane, really hard, and at the same time, because it was the first language that I started to learn, it was kind of really interesting to play with and to see analytics. I remember thinking about this at that time, like I was putting something doing laundry, and it's like, oh, this machine is using assembler to operate. Okay, next was programming foundations, and if I'm not mistaken, it was starting on premises of C. So we doing this was the lecture where just a lot of theory, and the practice was kind of using C. Then we had computational logic, we had Prolog, which is a logic programming language, we had Boolean algorithms, or no, it's Boolean algebra. Then we have algebra, we had programming techniques, which was C as well. We have operating system, and that was MS-DOS, which was really fun and interesting. We had integral calculus, which I was failing at the beginning, so I had to take some tutoring to at least be passing. So, but that was at the beginning, and then I became much better at that. We had geometry as well, so that practically was my entire year, first year of computer science. So it was about 9 classes that I remember. Starting with year number 2, we started with databases, which I loved. The teacher was amazing, and I really, really loved databases. And in that class, we actually learned SQL. Next, we had graph algorithms. And honestly, I don't remember having that class. I have zero recollection of having that class. I don't even remember who was the teacher, but I found some notes that tells me that we actually had that class. We had computer networks, which sucked. It really sucked. A lot of us were really on the edge of not passing that class. Then we started with object-oriented programming, and that was C++. We had probability and statistics, and then we had algorithms and data structures, and that class sucked as well. I don't remember having any practice or any lab for that class. It was practically all theory, and the teacher was not really suited to teach people. Let's say that. So that was a horrible course. We also had AI, and also I practically remember 0 things from there. Next class was advanced programming techniques, and that was using C++. And at the same year we had Java, and the teacher was amazing, and that's why one of the reasons why I love Java so much. So yeah, and also that year we had calculus. And finally, the 3rd year, I had design of information systems, which I really liked. I enjoyed that really much. Also had computer graphics, which was horrible for many reasons, but I don't remember much about it. I just remember that we struggled a lot during a lab, and none of us were able to kind of do well with it, because it had so many vectors and so much stuff there. Theory, it was okay, we were able to kind of understand, but practices, we were struggling there. Game theory was the next class. It was an interesting one. The one that I really loved, it was encryption and information security. I really enjoyed that class, actually. I loved it so much that the professor multiple times let me do the classes. Like, I would study a new cipher or something like that, and then I will teach it to entire course. Now that was kind of fun and scary at the same time. Then we had database administration, which was basically also SQL. And we had web development, but it was really basic web development, and it was super easy, honestly. I liked it because it was really easy and straightforward. What we learned was HTML and CSS. And that kind of wraps up 3 years of studying computer science in Eastern Europe. Obviously, I did probably miss some kind of the classes that were not related to computer science, because I have a double major. One was computer science and the minor was in economics, so I had classes like microeconomics, macroeconomics, and so much more than that, and I really enjoyed the economic side about the classes that I took also, but this is about computer science courses that I was taking. And we got to the point where I wanted to mention the differences that I noticed between how we are studying in Eastern Europe and how it's here in the United States. First of all of the courses, all the classes are chosen for you in advance. You cannot go into university and start at university, you enroll and say, oh, this trimester I want to do Java, and next trimester I want to do C++, I want to elect this class, and I want to elect this class. You are not defining your curriculum. Your curriculum is defined in advance, and everybody is having exactly the same curriculum for that profession. Let's say if you're going into mathematics, all your courses will be predefined and it has to be done in that year. You cannot switch it. I want to do it this year or this semester, or I will do it next semester. You don't have that. It's predefined, something that has to be in the first year, first trimester, next trimester you do this. It's not something that I can do. That being said, actually I remember there were being 2 classes that you can elect, and that was, if I recall correctly, it was the computer graphics that I took, I believe, and I don't remember the other one. So you could choose 2, but that was it. And if I recall correctly, that was either in the 3rd year or the 2nd. I don't remember exactly. And the other major difference is that kind of they go hand in hand, is that you cannot pass the year if you have at least one course that you are not passing. So let's say if you were year 1, semester 1 or something like that, and you are not passing, let's say, assembler, you cannot move on to next year. So you have to repeat the year, or you are out of luck. You cannot move on. You cannot move to the next trimester. Next year, actually, it's not trimester. I believe it was the year. You have kind of a year, like this, like first year or 2nd year or 3rd year. Before you start the next year, you have to pass the previous year. So those were the kind of the major differences that I noticed between the way that university are working in Eastern Europe and how it's done here in the United States. That being said, I don't know which one is best. I remember at that time that I wanted to pick what I want to learn and I was not able, but yeah, it is what it is. So that's kind of what my 3 years of studying at university were, from what I recall. So if this comes as a surprise for you, let me know why. I really have fond memories of the majority of the courses that I took, and a few that were not so good. But that being said, everything kind of formed, everything was for a reason, and I am here where I am. And probably it makes sense for me to do a curriculum of the bootcamp that I'm doing. So that will be most likely the next video. I'll talk about the curriculum that I'm studying this year. Before I kind of finish this video, I remember one thing that I want to also mention was that I checked the website of the university where I went, and I wanted to see what is the curriculum now after 10 years, if it changed at all, and I was happily surprised that actually a few things changed. First, I see that they kind of adapted to the changes of the technology, and they added to the web development, they added JavaScript, which is amazing. Also, for us, we were doing internship only when we finished the 3rd year. Before we had state exams, we were having internships. And this day and age, at the same university that I went, it looks like you can do internships every summer. Like you're done with the 1st year, you're allowed to do internships. You're done with the 2nd year, you can allow to do internships, and the 3rd year also allowed to do internships. That was something that changed probably in this 10 years. I don't know exactly when. But that being said, let me know what was your curriculum when you studied. Did you study for computer science or something else? And as always, I want to thank you for watching this video until the end. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. Make sure that you subscribe if you are new here and you want to make sure that you don't miss any of the upcoming videos, because that way, if you're subscribed and you hit the notification bell, you will be notified when the videos are uploaded. And if you want to support this channel, make sure to share this video with the people that you believe will enjoy the content of Holistic Developer channel, and that way you will support this channel, which means a lot for me and for the community. Thank you, and see you next time. Bye bye.